Hi, my name is Rochelle and welcome to my channel, Awaken the Collective, where I will do my best to help serve you on your own awakening journey. So this is technically my second video and really my first video, where we're actually going to start going into some of the things that have transformed my life and enhanced my experience here. And when I was first mulling around the idea of making video content, I went through the whole what would I even start with? What would I talk about? How would I even begin this journey? And then I realized the most appropriate video for me to make for my first real kind of video would be to go back to where I very first began 11 years ago, and the very practice that took me out of my own personal hell and transformed my entire path. It's just my magic. It's my practice. It's what's really cultivated, I believe, at the foundation of it all the beautiful abundance and love and everything that I have around me now and how I feel in my everyday to day life. So I'm going to take it back a little bit to where I was 11 years ago. I had really, at that moment, destroyed my life. I was sitting in just a pool of failure. I had destroyed my marriage, stepped out of my career. I went from having everything to nothing. At 21, I had owned a home and had a few cars and had a good career going. And I had that had all just changed overnight. Next thing you know, I'm homeless, not homeless, where you don't really have an address, but you have somewhere to stay. No marriage, lost all the stuff. So I was really going through it. In fact, I pretty much was in a space of, I couldn't see it being better at that point. It was just like, cool, this is what I've created. I've messed up my whole life. Awesome. So in that space, there was one day in particular where I was coming home from work and I was in a very deep cry, like depressive, screaming, just those really deep guttural kind of why me's. And while I was on that drive, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced hearing a voice that just shakes you. I did hear a voice and it was just like, everything's going to be okay. And it was such a profound experience. It literally, it made my crying stop in an instant. And I just pretty much was like, everything's gonna be okay. And I just knew everything would be okay. So at that point, I started asking myself, well, how do I make sure that it's okay? Okay, if it's gonna be okay, what can I contribute to actually make sure I feel okay? And I just been introduced maybe a year or two prior to The Secret. My first book / and video of really anything in this manifestation universal realm. And with The Secret, there was the practice of gratitude, and just saying thank you for things before they were even there. Well, I figured that would be the best place for me to start because I wasn't anywhere that I wanted to be. And so I started integrating gratitude into my day-to-day, every single day. And it's really inspiring and interesting to me now, reflecting back on my past self, choosing to do that because I was at the point where I was taking change out of my stepfather's change thing just to have gas to get to work, just to even have food to give to my child. I was at a point to where I felt like I really had nothing. So it forced me to really look at my life and find where the miracles were, or how could I change my focus and my meaning to everything to be grateful. Which is everything, focus and meaning. We'll get into that. So first of all, there is no rules. I'm going to take you into my practice, where I started, how I did it, and what I do now. And when it comes down to it though, I just feel like I need to begin with the only rule is there is no rules. There's only intention. Okay. And so, when I went through this, I had kind of started creating my own rules for how gratitude worked and how I did it. So I'm going to take you through my practice and really where I began And then you can make your own practice, just with the foundation of having a loving intention of connection and just gratitude for everything in the universe and yourself and life and all that stuff. So anyways, so my practice was always in the car. That's where I had my own sacred space. That's where I was alone. That's where I had the space to just be, to talk amongst whomever was listening. And at that point, I hadn't cultivated a relationship with my angels and my guides, and I had a foundation of a God essence in my life, but not deeply. So I was just talking to whomever was listening to me, universe, and I was just saying thank you. So I would make myself say thank you for 3 things every day, and it was normally on the way to work, and I would always do 2 things that were big and kind of easy to look at and be like, oh, I'm thankful for that. Things like maybe having a car to go to work, my son, having a job, things that are kind of easy to look at your life and be like, yeah, that's easy to be grateful for. Sure, that helps. And then the last thing would always be something super simple, something that could easily be overlooked. And that forced me to start looking at what I found later was it forced me to really start looking at everything as a miracle, so it was, and finding gratitude in every moment of my life. And so those simple things could be something like the way that the breeze felt on my skin, a few minutes back, or maybe that smile somebody had given me out of nowhere. Maybe the way that the tree leaves had shimmered, as I was driving past them. Something that was just so simple that I could have easily overlooked any other moment of my day. And what ended up happening is I started feeling being connected. And what I mean by that is everybody is different. So if you end up not with these certain feelings, or you'll have your own, but this was just my own experience, I started realizing I was connected to source. I was doing something. And that feeling started with, I would say my gratitude, and then all of a sudden I would have like this shimmer of vibration up and down my spine, up through my neck into my crown. And that's when I knew I was tapped in. And that was something I had never experienced before. But I would be like, whoa, okay, I'm working with something. Something's working with me. Like I'm connecting. So that was a really big shift for me, because then I knew I had, some sort of camaraderie with the universe or with God, so that was a really big thing for me. And there would be days where I was in a super low vibration, super low energy. I was angry, I was sad, I was worried, I was fearful, whatever. I would make myself do the practice, and I'd be like, okay, I'm thankful for this, and I'm thankful for this, and I'm thankful for this. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, no, you don't, no. Take it back, feel it. State why. Why are you grateful for these things? What is it about these things that you're grateful for? I'd make myself redo it, re-feel it until I could feel it in my body. Then I knew I was good. So that's really the foundation of my practice. And I started seeing things unfold. Like I had said before, I was in a space where I'm taking change just to get gas and things like that. So I was in a very scarce space, even though I was doing my best to be abundant, in my thought processes and whatnot. I was very scarce in my life. And so I started seeing things happen. And it's funny because I was reflecting on like, what was really the first thing that happened to where I was like, whoa. And it may be really small for some, especially, now for me, my life is just transformed to where this looks small, but in a way for me, it was so huge at that time. Was I was working as a barista. I just got out of my EMS career, and I was saying thank you on my way to work that morning, and I was beyond broke. And I remember it being extra particularly broke that day kind of thing. And I had just walked into work, and you're making $3 to $5 coffees maybe. And your tips are reflective of that. Maybe $1, maybe $1 and some change, $2, whatever. Grateful for all of it. But what had happened that morning was, and this is maybe like a week or so into the practice, is a lady comes up to me and just says, I feel like I'm meant to give this to you. And she gives me a 20. And I was so deeply appreciative of that moment, because 20 to me at that moment was a big thing. But also I felt as though that was the universe going, hey, there you go. You're on track. You're doing something. You're manifesting. You're tapping in and saying thank you. You know that you're going to be taken care of. And I was. And so that was a big moment for me of just like, okay, keep going, do this practice. Like, it wasn't for the money. It was just for the response, you know, of the universe and how I felt and whatnot. So anyways, that's really the foundation of what has set my life up. I have it so heavily integrated into my life now. Gratitude is just second nature to me. You know, it's like everything I see, I'm like, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. That's awesome. I'm grateful for that. And there have been times in the last 11 years where maybe I'm not that grateful. Like, you know, I check into that lower vibration. I've had a lot of experience in the last 11 years and I realize I'm kind of getting off path. Maybe I'm not seeing synchronicities, and I'm going to make a video about all that. But that's where I always come back to. Okay, gratitude. What am I not doing right now? Oh, I'm not being very grateful. I haven't really taken the time to connect. I haven't really taken the time to say thank you. So I just reintegrate that into my life. And then all of a sudden, everything just starts blossoming again. Like I said earlier, focus and what meaning you give to things. That changes your physiology. And those three things are where the magic happens. If any of you are familiar with Tony Robbins' work, that's your state of being. What are you focused on? What are you giving meaning to it? Or what meaning are you giving to it? And then how does that, you know, how are you moving your body? So anyways, those three things, that's the magic right there. And so with gratitude, it helps you refocus. It helps you give meaning to things that are in a positive nature. And it changes how your body feels. It changes everything within your body. So it changes your state completely. And when you're in a better state, you can manifest better. You can be better. You create better ripples in the world. People respond to that. And it just keeps going. So this is just really the foundation I wanted to set for this whole channel. And just hopefully, if gratitude isn't integrated in your life at all, or daily or monthly or whatever, that maybe you can consider that to be something that you start integrating more into your life. Because I'm telling you right now, like I look back and I don't know where I would have been if I hadn't have made that choice to start integrating that into my path. And I genuinely, you know, like I would have made it on my awakening path in some other way or something, but I'm truly always super grateful for the fact that I chose to start infusing gratitude into my daily life. And I just see how much my life has just transformed and how I perceive everything now. And I am infinitely grateful for that. So anyways, on that note, thank you all so much for connecting with me today, joining me, giving me energy, and allowing me to share my energy with you. I appreciate you and love you, and I wish you the most beautiful day. Looking forward to reconnecting with you soon. Thank you.